said anything better than what he just said. And with respect to the vision of the president related to rural development and all the issues you guys brilliantly identified, with respect to incorporating the traditional knowledge into science. And so for that, I could basically say, you know, the traditional knowledge, and if we can use the agricultural terms, land races, you guys all remember what land races means. That means local varieties of crops that actually adapt to tough climatic conditions, do not necessarily give you a lot of output at the end of the season, but no matter what happens during the growing season, there will always be something at the end. And that is the traditional knowledge, because you guys, those who are claiming that their knowledge has not been taken into consideration, rightfully so, have demonstrated through the years that that knowledge has its place, and it's actually science. So what is happening now? With respect to climatic changes, we went after the improved varieties, and you guys know very well that when we go after improved varieties, we must accompany those improved varieties with a lot of inputs. Water, fertilizer, pesticide, and better management systems, so that that improved seed variety actually will perform a lot better, comparatively speaking, to the land races. But given that the agricultural systems in Africa, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, has been dominated by folks still in subsistence farming. You have folks in agriculture, you have folks in livestock, you have folks in forestry, you have folks in fishery, you have folks in water-related technologies. Most of them, all subsistence nature. Then when we need to modernize, given the rarity of the water, rain-fed dependency and all that kind of stuff, I think it behooves us to certainly take into consideration the knowledge of the traditionalists who have demonstrated over the years, over time, that it is actually science incorporated into the new policies, and come to an understanding that at times we can use half, maybe less than half. At times maybe we use more than half. In any case, the proportion depends on the extent to which we are faced with this or that situation. So that's what I really want to say with respect to the land races, the traditional knowledge, how it should be. It's not a matter of how it should, that people should not be pleading to incorporate their traditional knowledge into science. It must be included into science. That's really key. That's one thing. It must be included in science, because it is science. The thing is people, folks, Madame Sarah talked about, they need to be given space at the table when we're negotiating, when we're discussing policies. Well, that's not much to ask, because what we're going to do is these policies actually trying to better the lives of our citizens who are engaged in that particular activity. So there's nothing wrong, and we must bring to the table everybody to take part into and create the debate that should lead us to come to an understanding, and assign responsibilities to each segment of that group: policymakers, decision makers, technicians, experts, international donors, NGOs, target population, and together we will have what they call une feuille de route, a blueprint, so that when we go back to implementation, we will implement something for which we had an agreement sealed off. It might be negotiated every now and then, depending on the circumstances, if things change. But by and large, that's how it should be, and it must be. The third point is what Madame Hindu alluded to, is that national government should take that into consideration and actually include in the budgetary discussions allocations that do indeed address those particular issues. left it to its own device, we can come back at the end, try to figure out, okay, where are we going to find money? There must be lines in the budget that deal with those issues. And the minister rightfully described what the policies of the national government in Chad have been actually taking into consideration the vision of the head of state. So we have begun. There is a platform. Is it sufficient? No, maybe not. Should we do better? Yes, we must do better, given the fact that climate change is here to stay. All right? We know that. Climate change is here to stay. And there's going to be drought. But drought should not be necessarily confused with famine. We need to adapt to live with drought and design strategies, coping mechanisms, systems that allow us to be productive within the constraints of the new climate change paradigms. And that's not much to ask for. So all of us together need to understand that climate change is here. I can tell you very quickly that Lake Chad used to be 25,000 square kilometers. It is now reduced to 2,500 square kilometers. It is a disaster. It is a calamity that actually involves the whole humanity. So I'm going to ask for my colleague from the minister to do everything he can rapidly to get us some help, relief, so that the Lake Chad can find its, go back to where it used to be. So on that basis, ladies and gentlemen, I certainly appreciate the opportunity given to us, and I certainly hope that what we take away from here is going to be an engagement and a determination from all of us to move forward and implement what comes out of this. It cannot be business as usual, talk, and no action, but it must be short, medium, and long-term strategies that allow us to put through what is needed so that we can cope with this new variation in climate change. Thank you very much.